Bishop's life cut short when he was killed in an accident while riding his scooter. He had a passion for math and teaching and touched the lives of everyone he met.
Tragic death of a University of Miami student. That young man was riding his scooter when he was involved in a crash that ended his life.
Daniel Bishop was a senior getting ready to graduate, but his life.
This driver's experiencing a major case of shock after being involved in a traffic accident only moments before this body cam was recorded. The accident left one man fighting for his life after he was knocked off his scooter while crossing the road and then dragged under the wheels of the SUV.
Welcome to The Female Criminal. Tonight, we investigate a crime that serves as a chilling case study in socioeconomic immunity. The belief that status, wealth, and professional standing can act as a shield against accountability. This is the story of Veronica de la Vega, an attorney and former assistant public defender whose reckless choice violently ended the life of 22-year-old Daniel Bishop. Daniel was a promising University of Miami senior, a young man who had already survived the unthinkable tragedy of the Parkland school shooting.
Possible shots fired at Stoneman Douglas High School.
This morning, chilling images and 911 calls from the Parkland massacre, painting a timeline of terror. 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz seen here loading an AR-15 in the hallway of Stoneman Douglas High School as a frightened freshman walks past. The Sun-Sentinel reporting that according to that freshman, Cruz telling him, "You'd better get out of here, things are gonna start getting messy." Moments later, Cruz killing 17 students and staff.
The crime committed was vehicular homicide. The context, however, is a profound betrayal of trust and the weaponization of privilege.
We're gonna be okay. They're transporting him. They're transporting him to the hospital.
Also, 623 and 105, 1491, 370 minutes.
De la Vega, a lawyer sworn to uphold the law, was driving illegally. Her immediate reaction was not remorse, but a clinically detached strategy for self-preservation.
Right this one, okay.
The light turned green. I went to make a left. I looked this way to make sure from there. Okay. I looked this way to make sure that there were no cars coming, and I guess he was crossing the street.
This is an examination of what happens when a mind conditioned by status views a tragedy, the taking of a life, not as a moral catastrophe, but as a personal inconvenience to be minimized and managed by legal means. Veronica de la Vega and her husband operated at the highest levels of Miami society. This environment often cultivates a specific dangerous psychological trait: narcissistic exceptionalism. Our analysis begins with the sheer contempt for law demonstrated before the crash even occurred. For years, de la Vega operated a deadly weapon, a Cadillac Escalade, in public, doing so without a valid license or insurance. For an attorney, this is not ignorance. It is a calculated refusal to adhere to the fundamental rules of the social contract. The lack of a valid license frames her initial response. When tragedy struck, her primary internal conflict was not guilt, but the sudden terrifying realization that her illegal status was now exposed. This psychological pressure shifts her focus entirely from the victim to the defense of her own compromised position. On the morning of March 4th, Daniel Bishop was crossing the street on his scooter, lawfully utilizing the crosswalk. De la Vega, making a left turn, claimed she never saw him. The objective video tells a horrific story of a driver failing to yield and making fatal contact. But the most cold and indicting aspect is not the initial impact. It is the moments that follow. The surveillance and the witness testimony allege that the vehicle did not immediately stop. Instead, the heavy Cadillac Escalade dragged and rolled over Daniel Bishop, with both the front and rear tires. The immediate clash of narratives begins with the eyewitnesses. Patrick, who was stopped at the red light, provided a stunningly detailed account that directly challenged De la Vega's version.
Stop. Once the impact hit, I was beeping at her, like stop, hit him. He kept on going. ran over him with the front tires. I saw his legs twist, his head underneath one of the tires.
Patrick's observation is critical. He describes the sequential crushing of the victim. Ran over him with the front tires. Saw his legs twist his arm, his head underneath one of the tires. Then she proceeded and rolled over him with the rear tires. His need to frantically beep his horn to force her to stop suggests an utterly unresponsive driver. Sasha, the second witness, corroborated her husband's shock and the chilling sight of the vehicle running over the body twice.
First thing I saw was the Escalade, and then my husband yelling, "Oh my God, oh my God," and then you saw something underneath him.
They were not seeing an accident. They were seeing an uncontrolled object of destruction, driven by an inattentive person of privilege. The analytic difference here is stark. De la Vega claims she heard a thump and felt the car go over something, a minimized passive description. The witnesses described a full-body, metal-on-flesh, catastrophic crushing event that required screaming and blaring horns to interrupt. This contrast is the heart of the psychological void we explore. Her world was interrupted. Daniel Bishop's world was ended. Patrick's final statement perfectly summarizes the crime's nature. To me, that is somebody that wasn't paying attention. It wasn't malice, but a self-centered distraction so profound it was indistinguishable from clinical indifference. De la Vega's initial body cam footage captures a powerful state of shock, yet our analysis must look beneath the surface. Her distress quickly pivots to calls for legal protection, prioritizing her immediate defensive strategy over any expression of genuine remorse for the life lost.
The light turned green. I went to make a left. I looked this way to make sure from there.
Okay.
I looked this way to make sure that there were no cars coming, and I guess he was crossing the street.
All right, let me get you. Have your driver's license? You okay? You want to sit down? You want water?
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Have a seat right here in the shade, okay? You don't want to be looking at this. It's okay. It's okay.
The arrival of her attorney on the scene before she is given a formal statement is a classic maneuver of the calculated offender. For the powerful, the first response to crisis is to secure legal counsel, not to offer humanitarian aid or full cooperation. Listen closely to the exchange between the officer and the defense attorney. The lawyer, seeking to assert driver's privilege, shifts the blame entirely to the victim and the mode of transportation, uttering the contemptuous phrase, "Fuck the fucking scooters, you gotta outlaw those." This is the institutional voice of privilege, attempting to dehumanize the victim and preemptively absolve the client.
I wasn't a kid. I don't know.
22.
Fucking scooters. You gotta outlaw. You gotta outlaw those all the time. How many times you're driving and all of a sudden you like almost kill somebody?
We do traffic homicide. We see it all the time.
It's just like bugs. Treat them like bugs.
In her formal statement, De la Vega maintains the defense of sensory failure. I didn't see him.
Can you please tell me where you're coming from?
I was stopped at the light right there. I was the first car at the light of Vision.
On Altara?
And Altara.
So you were facing in this direction, westbound?
Yes.
Okay. At a complete stop. So you had a red light. Nobody in front of you. Okay. And then what happened?
The light turned green and it started to go. The cars to my left were stopped. The cars that were facing north were stopped.
This psychological defense mechanism seeks to convert her gross negligence into a simple, unavoidable, universal human error, effectively shielding her from the moral weight of her actions. She minimizes her role to a passive actor in a tragic script.
I pulled to the side after I felt the car go over something. And that was it. I got off the car. I ran. There was somebody who had gotten off their car, who I'm assuming was one of the drivers of the cars that were going northbound. He was already on the phone. I ran back to find my phone in my car. I grabbed it, but he was already calling 911. I was screaming.
Do you recall if you ever dialed 911 on the phone?
No, because I said, are you on with 911? And he said yes.
The investigation, however, found facts she strategically omitted. The fact she was operating the vehicle illegally. This is the act of calculated deception, not an outburst of rage, but a cold, self-serving decision to present a legally sanitized version of reality. Despite the severity of the crime, a fatal traffic homicide involving an illegally operated vehicle, Veronica de la Vega was ultimately charged only with failure to use due care and a misdemeanor for the expired license. She pled no contest, a legal strategy that allows her to accept the punishment without admitting guilt, thereby protecting her from potential civil liability. The sentence she received was shockingly light: 6 months of probation and 500 hours of community service. She avoided the maximum sentence of 60 days in jail. This outcome ignited the public outrage you heard from our viewers. The victim's mother, Susan Bishop, stood before the court and asked the necessary question: how could a lawyer, a mother, a community member drive knowingly with an expired license and not be carefully watching the road in front of her? This case is a painful demonstration of the systemic shield of privilege. Her professional status, her clear lack of prior felonies, and the ability to mount an aggressive legal defense allowed her to convert a traffic homicide into a minor inconvenience. The judicial system, in this instance, protected the powerful over the victim. The punishment did not fit the profound consequences of her clinical negligence. The true cost of this detachment was borne by the Bishop family, whose son, a young man who survived the terror of a mass shooting, was needlessly stolen by a crime the court classified as mere carelessness. The case of Veronica de la Vega is a terrifying portrait of the female criminal who weaponizes her professional status and wealth to achieve a state of legal immunity. It forces us to confront the fact that profound psychological emptiness can manifest not as blind rage, but as cold, calculated self-interest. Her legacy is one of self-serving detachment and a flagrant betrayal of her solemn duty. The memory we must preserve belongs to Daniel Bishop, whose life was violently and needlessly interrupted by a woman who should have known better. We stand in solemn respect for him and all victims who fall to crimes of calculated control. Thank you for confronting the darkness with us on The Female Criminal. If you found this documentary insightful, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue to explore the complex minds of these unique offenders. We'll see you in the next investigation.